The Rising of the Tate Uwu-chan has been quite the journey through its run. And it's one of those shows that has garnered quite a bit of attention, mainly because it is an isekai, so we can find some escape by dreaming for ourselves to get teleported away to another world so that we can escape the crippling weight and the pain of our mediocre lives. Ahem. With that, though, I want to talk about what I did and didn't like about Shield Hero, because every show has strong and weak points. And before anyone says, "It's just an isekai," no, we are all trash, so therefore, us watching garbage equates to us watching ourselves, so boom, it is balanced. Let's begin with things I didn't like about the show. From the beginning to end, it didn't really keep the same energy or feeling as the show went along. For me, there is no doubt that the first 4 episodes was the peak of the series, and I'll get to why I think that later. What I feel was truly lacking was that they dealt with Naofumi hating the world far too quickly. They kind of shoved it into 4 episodes and didn't progress too much more with it. Don't get me wrong, in those 4 episodes, they dealt with it fantastically. But I feel like if they would have given us more episodes to develop it a little further, it would have been much better. Naofumi despising the world was the basis of me looking at this anime than more than your typical isekai. Something else that I feel was quite lacking, that the series kind of failed with, was the overall combat, and the fights were quite dull. I'm not saying that every anime needs to have godlike fights, like Naruto and Sasuke versus Momoshiki, but a decent amount of the show was put around Shield Hero and friends in situations where they have to fight. This doesn't necessarily mean much for the rest of the show, because anime like My Hero have fights that can be quite boring, but it doesn't take anything away from the show itself. With My Hero, it's the emotion behind the fights is what counts. Lastly, I wasn't the biggest fan of how everyone treated the king and the bitch after the trial. They find them poisoning food, trying to start a revolution or something like that. But everyone kind of just treats them like a bunch of rapscallions. Oh, you guys over there, how could you?
その料理
Mind you, this was a very, very small portion of the show, so wasn't too bad. With all of that laid out, now it's time that I express what I liked about the show, and like is a soft term for how I feel about everything here. Shield Hero began how other isekai do, until the princess and the king threw rape allegations at Naofumi, and this began his hatred for the world. Usually in isekai, the people who are transported there don't really want to go back home. Why would they? Their lives at home were very boring and mundane, while they could live as heroes in a new world. The main character was also not summoned to a world and given ultimate power. He's the weakest in terms of fighting strength to the other heroes. It really threw off what I expected from a traditional isekai. He expected to have a great adventure and have fun fighting along with the other heroes and his companions. He was hopeful and too trustful of others in the beginning. When he trusted Malti, she took advantage and destroyed his character, giving him no hope to find partners by regular means. We see how little Naofumi cares about the world when he meets the slave trader, and when Naofumi finds out what he is, he doesn't look down at the man for being this. We see that he couldn't care less about what he's doing, because Naofumi is numb to this world. It is after he buys Raphtalia and takes her away that we fear what Naofumi will become, what he will do with this child now forced to be his companion. But instead what we see is the best part of Naofumi come back out to the light again. When she wants to eat, they eat. When she wants to rest, they rest. When he notices that she wants the ball, he gets it for her. We see here why he was chosen to become a hero, because naturally he is a very kind person. And we saw that at the beginning, whenever he was in his hopeful beginnings. He was very harsh with her when it came to fighting, but as Raphtalia says,
ナオフミ様はいつだって私にできないことはさせませんでした。私が怯えて嫌がった時だけ戦うように呪いを使っただけです。
Fast forwarding now to when they are adventuring together for a month, preparing for the waves. We see that he has become very used to Raphtalia, and we also notice Raphtalia's amazing growth. We notice that Naofumi doesn't really mention her growth at all, but we assume that is because they've been together for the whole month. But it is when their armorer compliments Raphtalia for growing so much, and Naofumi looks at him very strangely, and says that she doesn't look very different to him. We think that he might just be hard to please, but there is a much larger issue here that Naofumi struggles with. This is one of the best moments of foreshadowing for the big moment soon to come. The build-up reaches its peak when the spear hero challenges Naofumi to a fight to free Raphtalia after Malty telling him that she is a slave. He promises to free her, and the king has his men grab Raphtalia so that she cannot speak or leave. We see that Naofumi is enraged by this, and we've seen Naofumi be protective of Raphtalia before around the other heroes. When Naofumi went to the Dragon Glass for the first time, he was defensive with Raphtalia whenever the spear hero tries to talk to her, mainly out of fear that he would lose her. When she asks Naofumi about the rumors and his relationship with the other heroes, he tells her it's none of her business. He's trying to keep her from hearing anything bad about him, because he thinks he'll be abandoned once more. The fear of him being alone truly frightens him, and when he loses because of tampering, the seal is removed. And this is when we see things from Naofumi's eyes. This fog suddenly fills the entire stadium. When he looks up and sees Raphtalia, we see that she looks like the little girl Naofumi saw in the cage, the one he first met. Recall that when Naofumi went to go eat his food after being betrayed, he said that he couldn't taste the food. He had blocked out everything around him, and in his eyes, Raphtalia never grew up. She was still a child, because he never truly saw her. And just before the wave, when Raphtalia says to Naofumi that she will always be by his side, he doesn't really hear her. At this point, he trusted no one. To him, everyone was only looking for a way to better themselves when interacting with him. That is also why Naofumi didn't recognize her growth. When Naofumi looks up again, and he sees that Raphtalia's seal gets removed, his hatred for the world spiked to a point to where he cared about nothing. In his eyes, he was abandoned once again, alone once again. This was truly his rock bottom. He is scared that he will lose Raphtalia, but we as the viewers know that Raphtalia would never abandon him. Even as a slave, she truly admires Naofumi. After Naofumi throws his head to the ground once again to never look up again, we emerge from his foggy view, and we see Raphtalia smack the spear hero and scold everyone about freeing her. She was never asked to be freed. We as the audience saw how much she loved and admired Naofumi, especially everything he did for her, a slave. He treated her illness, gave her a sword, and without Naofumi even realizing it, he had given Raphtalia's life purpose. She had a reason to live. It is when Raphtalia approaches Naofumi again that we transition back to his distorted view, this foggy view with a young Raphtalia standing beside him once more. Raphtalia was patient with him, though, and with every attempt to push her away, she responded with all of the good he's done for her. He states that he hates the shield forced upon him because it's the reason behind all of his pain. This is when she kneels down and touches the shield and explains how she loved the shield. She explains that it was used to protect her life several times and the people of Ram Village. Here is when all of the fog around him suddenly is blown away. He has finally landed back in reality and is staring at Raphtalia, whom he doesn't recognize fully.
誰？
何を言ってるんですか？私ですよ。ラフタリアです。
いや、だってラフタリアは子供。
His whole world was thrown into a haze after being betrayed and hurt so badly. He subconsciously locked everything out. She brought him back to reality and again reassures him that she will never leave his side. This is when she hugs him, and Naofumi begins to cry, and eventually he falls asleep in her lap. This is why I think the show peaked in these first 4 episodes. I truly felt the emotion in each and every scene because all of us want to be told that we are wanted, that someone will stay by our side, and that they'll never abandon us. But when Raphtalia spoke these very words to him, he toned it out, protecting himself from pain again.
私はあなたの剣。たとえどんな苦難があろうとも、付き従います。
それはずっと誰かに言ってもらいたかった言葉。いや、ラフタリアはずっと。
After he awakens and he and Raphtalia go outside, she gives him some food, and when he eats it, we can see that he can finally taste again. He is truly back in reality. I think it is truly a shame that the show wasn't able to recreate the emotion in these first episodes. If it did, Shield Hero would probably be one of my favorite anime ever, but unfortunately it doesn't. I'm not saying the rest of the run was bad either, because there are great moments. Moments like when Nafumi first awakens his cursed shield, and unlocking the abilities that go along with it. The cast is also quite good because Raphtalia, Philo, and Melty are all great characters for the story, and the show really knows how to make you hate a character. Malty is just the bitch of the show, and everything she does is aimed to make Nafumi and friends' lives very difficult. Overall, The Rising of the Shield Hero was a great watch, and it was way better than most isekai that I have seen. And I'm very excited to see what they have coming in the next season. And with that, this is what I thought was good and bad about the show.
私はあなたの剣。たとえどんな苦難があろうとも、付き従います。
それは、ずっと誰かに言ってもらいたかった。